As members of the public, if you can all take your seats, and please remember to switch your electronic devices to silence. Welcome everybody, those members in the gallery. Also, I'd like to welcome our viewers at home who are watching the meeting via the live stream tonight. I will now ask if you can please be upstanding. Deputy Mayor Migdale, if you could read out the opening prayer for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Almighty God, we ask you to guide us in all our discussions to show goodness, honesty, understanding and wisdom in all that we undertake to do. May we respect each other's views at all times, and we ask all of this in your name.
Amen. Thank you. And Councillor Papard, if you could please read the acknowledgement of country.
On behalf of our councillors, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation on which this meeting is taking place, and show our respect for elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you. You can take your seats. Without prior approval, any recording of this meeting is prohibited. No action should be taken on any resolution of council prior to written advice from the city being received. Brings us to the official opening of the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, I declare the council meeting of the 12th of March 2024 open at 6:31 p.m. I have no apologies for this evening and no approved leave of absence. Disclosure of interest. There were two disclosures from the Planning and Development Committee meeting held on the 5th of March, which are listed in tonight's agenda and also displayed on the screen behind me. Councillors, are there any other disclosures? Councillor Reid?
Yes, thank you. May I have a disclosure in 12.1 DS1, please, is because Ewan Street is within the Stirling City Centre project area. Structure plan. Thank you.
I'm not sure if I
reside within the Stirling City Centre structure plan. Ewan Street is.
I don't know if that's a conflict, if you're not.
Well, it's an impartial conflict.
Okay.
That's all.
Happy to have it. Yep, thank you. Any other disclosures, councillors? Jackson? Mr. Morby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have received an impartial interest for item 14.6 for Councillor Stephanie Proud. This is the Tyler Street closure, or the Tyler Street closure, and this is because she has a family member residing at the southern end of Tyler Street.
Thank you. No other disclosures, indications. We go to item 5, petitions. 5.1, Councillor Lagan, would you like to table the petition related to loud noise around Valerie and Cleveland Streets?
Thank you,
please?
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, below is a summary of an e-petition containing 12 verified signatures. Was received by the city, and I'll just read a bit of it. We, the undersigned residents of Dianella neighbourhood around the Islamic College of WA, do respectfully request that the council take action regarding daily nuisance noise coming from the school, and request that the noise be kept and private within the buildings. It just goes on to talk about 2 occasions that complaints have been registered, and the request for the issue to be looked at again.
Thank you. Are there any unverified petitions, councillors? No indication. Can I have a move and a seconder to accept the petition this evening? Move Councillor Papard, seconder Councillor Giudice. And just show of hands to accept those petitions, please. That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 6, responses to previous questions from members of the public taken on notice and those appearing in the minutes of that meeting. We'll now move on to item 7, which is public question time. And I'll invite Mr. Simon Wheeler to come forward. Thanks, Mr. Wheeler. You know the process. Name and suburb.
Good evening. It's Simon Wheeler, Scarborough. Good evening, Mayor, Councillor, staff and members of the gallery. Mayor Owen, in regard to the minutes, item 6 on tonight's agenda notes that all public question time responses from the previous meeting were published in the minutes of the meeting. In the minutes to the last meeting, a response to a question from a rather elderly resident, a Mr. Hadley, noted that a written response would be provided. This, however, did not occur. Nor, I am informed, of several other requests to previous questions on the same matter as long ago as September last year have been provided to Mr. Hadley and certainly have never appeared in any minutes. It's a requirement under the Local Government Act to respond and record answers to questions unless those questions are unreasonable, defamatory, or would require a substantial commitment of local government resources. Mr Hadley's questions were to the total and itemised costs incurred by City of Stirling ratepayers to date for the city's, I think Mr Hadley likes to call it a bus, but the city's runaway trackless tram project. At this point, it's hard to ascertain if the city does not know how much ratepayer money has been spent on this project, or if it just rather prefers not to say. If the city does not know the answer, will council nonetheless direct one of our CEOs to arrange for answers to be provided and recorded as per the requirements of section 5.95 of the Act, unless of course council determines that providing information to ratepayers of where their funds are being spent is considered by this council to be an unreasonable impost on local government.
Thanks, Mr Wheeler. I will ask our one CEO to provide that response in writing to you, as requested.
Mayor Owen, on the 30th of May 2023, Council Resolution 523/026 determined that 21 or 22 trees, depending which page you read of the agenda, were not recommended for removal of some 63 requested for removal from the A-Class Reserve leased by the Mount Lawley Golf Club for its vegetation management plan. The resolution continued to note that all future tree removal requests be determined by Council's tree delegate under the Street and Reserves Trees policy. Will the city provide a list of the identity numbers as per the Arbor Carbon report of those 21 or 22 trees not recommended for removal, and inform the community if the tree delegate has since approved or rejected removal or received any requests for removal by the Mount Lawley Golf Club for any of those trees?
Thank you, and obviously we'll have to provide you that response in writing, Mr Wheeler.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Owen, page 67 of that same agenda of 30th of May 2023 states that the city received from the Mount Lawley Golf Club a revised vegetation management plan, and that whilst a managed master plan was not required to be submitted to the city under the terms of the lease, that a vegetation management plan was. Will the city confirm if the current legally enforced lease for the Mount Lawley Golf Club, as approved by the Minister responsible under the Land Administration Act, in line with the conditions of the city's management order, includes in its terms, conditions or provisions a requirement that a vegetation management plan be in place?
Thank you, Mr Wheeler, and we're happy to provide you that response in writing as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I have no one else listed on tonight's meeting for public question time, so I will move on to item 8, which is applications for leave of absence. Councillors, are there any applications for a leave of absence? No indication. Item 9, confirmation of minutes. Can I have a mover and a seconder to accept the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Council held 27th of February 2024, please? Move Councillor Hatton, seconder Councillor Criado, and just show of hands to accept those minutes, please. Thank you. For and against. So all councillors voting for, Councillor Reid voting against the minutes of that meeting. I now move on to item 10, which is announcements by the presiding member. I do have an announcement regarding the Department of Local Government's proposed standardised meeting procedures. As part of the ongoing Local Government Act 1995 reforms, the Department of Local Government has released a consultation paper regarding standardised meeting procedures. The City has sought feedback from our elected members, and officers will present a report to an upcoming Council meeting to allow Council to vote on its submission to the Department. I know that some of our residents are also quite interested in these kinds of matters, so if we have anyone in the gallery or at home who is keen to do so, you are welcome to make your own submission to the Department on this. You can read about the proposed standardised meeting procedures and submit your feedback via the online survey. We'll make sure that we include the link to it in the minutes of this meeting. Obviously, councillors, the same applies to you if you'd like to put your own submissions in. And the second announcement I do have for this evening is to wish our very own Councillor Teresa Olo a very happy birthday. Thank you for sharing your birthday with us this evening. Yeah. Oh, how's that? And Mr. Carl Mallet, I believe it's your birthday too. So thank you for sharing your birthday with us, Mr. Mallet. We wish you a very happy birthday. Mr. Mallet has some small kids at home, so I think he's come here to have a break. Is that right? Item 11, unresolved business from previous meetings. We have nil. 12, reports and recommendations from committees. Councillors, will move to the Planning and Development Committee items. There are no items that need to be pulled out. Councillors, are there any items on this that you wish to pull out? Councillor Ree.
Yes, thank you. May I pull out D 12.1 DS1, please?
You may. Then are any other items to be pulled out? There being no indication, I will go to Councillor Proud as chair of that committee.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. After some lengthy discussion, 12.1 DS1 was deferred until the 5th of May meeting, Planning and Development meeting, and I'm happy to move that committee recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a second?
That doesn't say that.
The committee recommendation on the screen?
Sorry. Sorry, you're talking 12.1 DS1? Yes?
The committee recommendation is on the
yes.
screen.
Very happy to move this item that was discussed at length at P&D. I'd also like to thank all the councillors that made
Just move the committee recommendation. We're fine.
moving the committee recommendation 1 and 2.
Is there someone who will second? Thank you, Councillor Kristovich. Is there anyone opposed to this? Councillor Ree. Now, Councillor. Is it just a question? Yep. I'll allow a question then. Councillor Proud, if you could turn your mic off. Councillor Ree, your question?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is, first question is one, isn't this confidential?
No.
Thank you. So the information is not confidential. Okay. My second question is, which I have actually had dialogue with the staff about this, what with the original application of which they had to have 7 parking bays on the other block, they didn't build them, and that's nearly 30 years ago. Not 30 years ago, 20 years. 12 years ago. No, actually it was 2007, I think, originally. Yes, 2007, not 13. I want to know, why didn't the city actually ensure that those, if it was a building application and a development application, that they had to build the 13 parking bays, why didn't the city make them finish that development before they started, please?
So it was an unusual condition the city put many years ago that provided the condition where the car parking would be provided in a separate development that was never undertaken. So it's currently an unenforceable condition that sits within that DA.
At the time, that actually was one block. So Ewan Street, while it was moving, and it's still not really where it's supposed to be, but anyway, that's a different story. That was all one block. And the community at the time were very concerned about people parking on one side of the road and running across the road with little children. And therefore, it was opposed. So one of the reasons why it was approved, it was because it was one block and the Ewan Street wasn't going to stay there. Well, Ewan Street is still there, and they never built the parking. What my concern is, that's been said to me by a number of residents, how can the city approve something and not make sure that all the conditions of approval are there? Bearing in mind, at this precise moment in time, we have lots of parking issues.
No, I understand. So I understand that. And at the time, it was under different provisions as well. So the condition was on a separate building that never occurred. The current condition is unenforceable and has expired. And under today's provisions, that childcare wouldn't be required to provide those. So it's silly to keep it on as a condition on this future development site that it still now has no relevance to something that was many years ago. And it was discussed heavily at committee regarding the fact that there hadn't been any issues with car parking. Does that help?
No, not really, because that wasn't the undertaking. So that wasn't answering my question. My question was, if you get a development approval, they should have gone and made sure that was. They actually applied for more car park, more childcare to start with.
They did comply with the development application. They built theirs with the condition that if a future development went across the road, there would be required car parking bays, and there was no future development that ever went ahead.
Well,
I'll get Mr. Rodich to
I asked
provide
for
any.
a copy of the original planning approval, but that's still from Mrs. Shears, but it wasn't provided.
Mr. Rodich, would you like to provide any further?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I think you've handled that well. Councillor Ree, that was, I guess, a condition on a development which never happened, and therefore it is unenforceable. The childcare centre, as pointed out in the report, has been operating with a number of bays on site. Under, I guess, the planning framework we have at present, we can consider amending a condition, deleting a condition, of which this application is about, and the planning team and I'm comfortable as the CEO that this recommendation is absolutely sound.
I've actually had quite a few dialogues with
Councillor Ree, I
the new
need to know
CEO,
if
but I'm quite happy with. I don't have an objection to this, and it's a good solution of which I've spoken at length with the CEO about. Just that the conversation coming in is how can you have approval of something and we don't keep going? And one of the other issues is a similar site which has got no trees on it, and yet apparently when it got approved years ago, it doesn't have to. And so that's the question. Why are we giving a development approval when we're not making sure that all the criteria are approved at that time, even though the rules have changed? That's all.
No,
Thank
and
you.
I understand that. I can only reiterate, nothing has occurred ill toward here. That they have complied completely with what the conditions on that development approval were. It was and it was probably quite a silly condition at the time. It was premise that in the future, when another development went ahead, they would build extra car bays. So it has just lapsed, and that's the reality of it. So it's timely to do this, and there's no one opposed. So I will now put that item.
Could we have the air conditioner up? Because it's very hot and very coffee.
Yes, we're going to the vote, so we're happy to look at that.
I'm dying here.
That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. There's no other items to be pulled out, so we'll go to the balance of reports. Councillor Proud.
I move the balance of the report.
Is there a seconder for the balance of reports? Thank you, Councillor Perkoff. Show of hands for the balance of reports. We'll get that done. That is unanimous. Thanks, councillors. Yes. Members of the gallery and those viewers at home, please note that the remainder of those Planning and Development Committee recommendations have been adopted by exception resolution. I'll go to item 13, which is the reports for consideration in accordance with section 4.24 of the Meeting Procedures Local Law. And the first one of those is 13.1, the 2024 Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly, the City of Stirling motions on page 63. Do I have a mover of a motion? Councillor Lagan.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to move the recommendations on page.
Thank you, councillor. And seconded by Councillor Proud. Is there anyone opposed to those motions? Questions? Are they just questions? Yep. I'll go Councillor Dudek, please, to start. Just a question.
Thank you. Just wondering, when's the deadline for submissions to ALGA?
I'll see if Mr. Morby, if you have that detail. The 29th of March.
I might just ask the officers, based on last year attending the National General Assembly, sorry, through the Mayor, based on last year attending the National General Assembly, there was quite a lot of other councils that had a very similar motion to ours, and I just wonder if we can perhaps do something a bit different as Stirling as one of the biggest councils in WA, and whether we've checked to see what they're submitting and if we've got something somewhat unique.
No, thanks for that question. And I was saying that at this stage, no one knows what other local governments around Australia are submitting because the deadline hasn't been reached. It's not uncommon with all the councils for there to be similar themed. Part of it is because each conference has a theme and they ask you to sort of delve into that theme. And these were, in terms of us not consulting with other local governments, it was trying to be fairly innovative. But I'll get Mr. Rodich to provide a bit of info.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Dudek, as part of the National Assembly, there is a discussion paper and it's got a number of criteria which the motion must meet. Therefore, it's very difficult to go outside the box. I understand your view there. But yeah, we do have to meet that criteria, and we have tried to think that what are important things for our organisation, our community, and we believe these two motions suitably address the theme of building community trust.
Councillor Ree, your question?
Just on that, we have in the past submitted motions and been similar to other, and what they do is just lobby them all in together and you just talk, which we did one a couple of years ago, nominated. Anyway, I don't have an objection to it at all, and I think it's good. It's sad that we actually have to put up a motion just to make sure residents are heard. That I find that quite sad. But with regard to the National Graduate Program, I put up a motion years ago about to put money in the budget for traineeships, apprenticeships, cadetships, just getting young people in. And the government, because when the government put more money in, I don't know whatever happened to that motion, and there's nowhere in the report, and I can't find motions on the internet because the motions aren't still there, but that's another little thing for the CEO to have with. I just wondered whether or not we should be sitting there with, when we develop a national graduate program, that we don't actually just amend it and put apprenticeships, traineeships, because they're all slightly different, because that report, wasn't aware of it. When the staff wrote the report, they actually said they're all quite different. So whether or not we just put in brackets to encompass all of them, just because I wasn't aware when I originally put the motion up that they were all different, because they attract different funding because of whatever their criteria is.
Mr Roddish?
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Ree, first of all, I'll come back to you on your previous notice of motion and see how that was actioned. Look, secondly, I guess how we've written this motion is I guess to allow consideration of what does that look like, the graduate program. We've suggested it, and as you see in the body of our text, we've made some recommendations there, but we've on purpose have made, I guess, those motions A to E not limited. The whole point of this is that we want to focus entry pathways on graduates from universities, TAFE, into local government, and we believe that this suitably addresses the theme of the government of focusing on jobs and skills. So I think, look, those are quite broad, how they've been developed through that motion, but I think there's an opportunity for the government to support those, and like you said, we hope other local governments across Australia and through Olga support this motion.
So move Councillor Lagan, second.
Just on that,
another question?
the comment made by the CEO saying that people from university and that I think that was one of the issues, to allow, not everybody has to go to a university.
Okay,
So
I think, yeah,
from
no, I
people from school?
understand all that, but let's just keep this in context. Happy for you to take it offline with the
be in a
CEO.
preamble
Yeah.
or something.
But I think in terms of the debate, this item obviously will go as a motion and then councils will be able to debate, and if you attend, you'll be able to prosecute that or pass it on to someone who is attending. So I will put that item to the vote. That is unanimous. Thanks, councillors. Item 13.2, proposed utilisation of aquatic safety technology at Englewood Pool. Mover of a motion. Councillor Migdale. Is there a seconder for this motion? It is that motion you want to put. Sorry, Councillor Migdale. Yes? Yes. Councillor Ferrante is happy to second that. Is there anyone opposed to this motion or any? Yes, you're opposed. Councillor Dudek. I'll go to Councillor Migdale.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. We've debated and spoken robustly on this item on many occasions now. We've sought further information from city officers. We've pretty much squeezed it dry, and for all information that one would require to make a very simple decision. This is about valuing the safety and well-being of our residents. This is about valuing life. This is about the difference between a drowning person being pulled out within 30 seconds or 3 minutes, the difference between the damage that could do to their brain. This is serious business. I 110% will side with an opportunity to keep our residents safe, safer. in an aquatic environment. As far as I'm concerned, this report covers off all options, the ins and outs, the features, the drawbacks of which I can find very few. Essentially, it is a $220,000 insurance policy system which will alert our lifeguards should for any reason they not see somebody who is in the midst of drowning at our Terry Tyzack Aquatic Centre facility. I would love to hear your robust debate and welcome anyone who does not share the same values that I do in supporting this item.
Thanks, Councillor Meadale. Councillor Ferrante?
Yeah, just a quick add to that, Mr Mayor. I mean, I'd like to hear what the discussion is from the opposition on this, because we just passed a telescope at Scarborough, so that's going to be viewed in the same way. So I'll be interested to see what the argument is. Safety first, always number one with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dudek? The challenge. They put a challenge out.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I didn't have any privacy concerns with the binoculars at Scarborough, and we did discuss it at committee last week. But firstly, I thank councillors for voting a fortnight ago to consider this matter separately to the mid-year budget, as I believe we all need to think fairly robustly about installing so many cameras around a swimming pool where many patrons are partially clothed and have some expectation of privacy. Firstly, I was listening to the Mayor on radio today, in which he gave a great interview and a robust defence of the system. However, I do wish to correct one thing, if you'll allow me, Mr Mayor, and it may have just been an oversight on your behalf, but if you'll allow me.
I will certainly allow you, Councillor Dudek.
At one point you stated the CCTV images aren't held, they're basically analysed by the Artificial Intelligence Unit and blurred out. I just want to clarify that the images on our end are not blurred, and the City of Stirling will have access to and be able to see very clear 5 megapixel video footage, with the images appropriately then being blurred before being sent to Linksite for their technology to analyse it. The report states that this clear footage from the CCTV will then be accessible to the team leader of security systems officers, and likely the manager of Inglewood Pools as well. I should state clearly that I have no concern about our current staff members and managers in this role, and I know that they will treat this data with the utmost integrity. The potential issue is 10 to 20 years down the line, when we have new staff, new managers, a new council here. I don't think we want to install technology and infrastructure that could potentially enable abuse. Now, I've got a few examples of the abuse that I'm talking about. In 2005, in Sefton Council in the UK, 4 council workers were charged, 2 jailed for using CCTV to spy on a woman. In 2007, a London police officer was found to have used CCTV to zoom in on scantily clad women. In 2009, 2 FBI workers were found to have used CCTV to spy on teenage girls in a state of undress. Now, there's dozens more examples of this happening as well, but for the sake of my time limit, I'll leave it there. Closer to home in Australia, in 2020, there was a joint initiative of the federal government and Victoria Police that utilised council-owned CCTV to catch anyone breaking lockdown rules. Now, while some may agree with this, but almost certainly not the expected use of CCTV when it was set up. As such, I do know the intention of this system is to save lives. And I think we need to think very carefully of the unintended consequences and privacy invasions that this could enable. Australians in general accept that when we leave our homes, go out and enjoy what the world has to offer, there is a level of risk that we have to accept. It's why we don't have 10km/h speed limits everywhere. It's why going to swim at the beach is our favourite summer pastime, and it's why AFL is our national sport. As demonstrated in the report, our lifeguards have an impeccable record of doing their job and saving lives when required. As also highlighted, there was a tragic incident in 2019 when a young father suffered a broken neck at our pool and unfortunately passed away. In this instance, it's debatable whether this technology could have prevented this. Now, as it states in this report, technology is no substitute for lifeguards, and it's also no substitute for parents supervising their children when swimming. I worry that we are relying too much on CCTV surveillance to solve all our issues, creating opportunities for abuse and infringing on our residents' right to privacy, which also needs to be considered in our role as councillors. I'll leave you with this quote by the great George Orwell. By comparison, with that existing today, all the tyrannies of the past were half-hearted and inefficient. Part of the reason for this was that in the past, no government had the power to keep its citizens under constant surveillance. Now, I'm aware it may seem like I'm over-dramatising this, but I do think we need to consider this and other future CCTV installations carefully, and I'll be voting against it.
Thank you for your debate, Councillor Dudek. It was well done. Councillor Lagan, did you indicate early on?
Yeah, I did, Mr Mayor. Look, putting aside emotive and emotional discussion about saving lives or otherwise, can I just bring to your attention the Royal Lifesaving Summer Drowning Report? And if we're looking at drownings in city facilities, the report shows that there were 57 drownings in inland water bodies, lakes, rivers and dams. There were 50 in coastal settings, and there were none in city-run pools. That's not to say this system wouldn't be of some use, but it does say even on the system webpage that there's no 100% guarantee this system will guarantee that someone will not drown in a facility run by the city, because there are issues with false alarms with the system. These have been recorded in the US. My issue on this is that the item was brought to us under delegated authority, and ratepayers are being asked to support what is essentially a private company setting up a oversight safety system using AI, but up front we have to put up $220,000, and that we're suggesting we're going to do that 3 times. So nearly $1 million to support a private company. And then they're asking for us to put in $48,000 a year for analytics of data that may or may not be useful for us. My view is, with greater deck staff, greater training, increased number of deck staff, these incidences shouldn't happen, and we shouldn't have to use AI to cover our swimmers in our pools. Look, the technology is interesting, the concepts for the technology is interesting. I get that the data collected will give us analytics that will tell us about movements, about usage in the systems, and about where we could better put our staff. We can do that now. My issue was the 220,000, it's still my issue. Better training, oversight by parents when they're at pools, and making sure that we have enough staff and that AI doesn't in the future cause us to have less staff. That's what concerns me. That's why I'll be voting against it.
Thank you, Councillor Lagan. Councillor Kristovich.
Thank you very much for that. I just want to ask a couple of questions quickly, if I could. In terms of whether this is passed today or not, do you think, do the officers think it'll change the number of drownings that will occur going forward and make a difference in terms of the fact that we've already got staff, lifeguards there? Will this really make a difference? I suppose is that we're spending this money, how much more security will this give us at the pool and confidence?
Well, I don't know if the staff can predict that, but I can give you some comment, Mr Mellett.
Yeah, thanks, through you, Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Kristovich. I guess from the city's perspective, this is going to be the largest body of water that we currently have, and the largest in WA. It's 35 metres wide, 2 metres deep. You can have obviously multiple lifeguards around the pool deck, but you know, as obviously human nature, at any point you can walk past a risk, and at any time anything that helps, I suppose, identify that risk and identify a lifeguard to attend will certainly help.
All right, and just in terms of, have we given any thought for this technology going into our other pools in the City of Stirling?
Mr Mellett.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Thanks again. So we currently have listed for Leisure Park Balga for the next financial year, and we've got Scarborough Beach Pool identified for the following financial year.
Yeah, and just in terms of Councillor Dudek's concern about, I suppose, footage and recording people at the beach, in the pool area, what's our policy at the moment with the #1 CCT cameras of the world being our iPhones, and people recording things at pools now? Do we have a policy where they leave them at the door, or do we pull people up if we see them recording people in the pool area, or do we have no policy at all for that?
Mr Mellett.
Through you, Mayor. So yes, we do have a procedure in place, and that is no recording in the pool deck, and we will address that matter as it comes up, and the lifeguards will attend and ask those to stop filming.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your questions. Councillor Ree.
Thank you. I do believe there's quite a few complaints when Scarborough Pool was opened up from people in apartments close to the pool with cameras and videos and that. But as the police said, they're in their house. There's nothing you can do, and they could have been videoing people on the beach for years. Just because there's a pool there doesn't make any difference. And, 10% of the population is going to be undesirable no matter what you do. But I am concerned about the cameras. When I look at here, and things have happened, and then all of a sudden none of the cameras work. There's always an element their cameras don't work, and you can't say that just because you've got a system, they're definitely always going to work, because they don't. I am concerned about AI. I think we're taking away the people skills. I believe that we actually could have more people do the work, and we should be in the business of people, not in the business of machines, because we are local government. We're not ASIO or anything. So I am concerned about the amount of money, because we could get good people for that amount of money. Patrolling. There is a report done on Beatty Park when they revamped Beatty Park, and must be probably about 18 years ago or something, I think. Maybe not that far. Alana McKinnon was mayor. I think when they did that, they found that the water body was so big that it was too hard for the swimming people to get to them, the surf lifesavers. So they actually put little islands in the middle. So they made it more of a play, and they've got like islands so that they could actually stand there and watch kids and to make sure they weren't that far away. And sometimes I look at these things that these are design faults. We're backtracking with these things. These are the things that we're spending millions of dollars on consultants for that actually should have picked up all these things. The OSH issue, the risk management issue, the cost issue, all of these should have been brought up right at the beginning, not brought to the table by councillors or worried parents or anybody else. It is a concern that we keep having these developments, and then we're having to retrofit them in some ways. And
I do have to just correct you there. So that there has been no oversight of anything. This is a very significant 50-metre lap pool that is 35-metre wide, that by the design of a 35-metre wide 10-lane lap pool, you can't have islands in the middle. There's no indication by the officers or the report that the lifeguards aren't performing their duties or there are any oversights. It's a new emerging technology which has become available, and that's why council have it before them tonight. It's another layer of surveillance that will make the pool safer. That's all that's being offered. It's not to suggest that something's been missed at any stage. I just have to make that
I've
clear.
never suggested that the surf lifesaving people, the lifesavers aren't doing their job. Never suggested that at all. And I know for a fact, having been a swimming teacher for many years, keeping eyes on the water can be actually very difficult. But it's the whole point about, while I think it's really good to do, the amount of people that have contacted me from the public saying, why haven't we got a women's shed instead? Why haven't we got other things instead? This is a lot of money when technology is still creeping along.
Council, let's keep it to this item, because I don't think someone read a Linkside aquatic safety report and said, why haven't we got a women's shed? Let's keep it on this
item.
item.
It was about the money, thank you. As Councillor Lagan pointed out the money, which you let him make the comment about money, I'm making the comment about money because that's what people have said to me. Where is the priority and the cost factor of this? And this is an ongoing cost. It's not a walk in the door and just play the money. Yes, we'd like to be the top of the wazza, but really, we've done so many other things that maybe that we needed to actually research more. And it's not about a public thing and let's be the first to the top of the tree with everything we do, because we'll look silly in the end. We need a bit more due diligence, I think. And one would expect if you were going to roll it out to the other pools, then you would make sure that this system was working well. And technology changes so fast. You only have got 2 years in our iPhones, I don't know why we have iPhones anyway. They don't work half the time. But I just think that we should be looking at it differently. And while I was very supportive to start with, the amount of phone calls I've had from people looking at priority, concerned about misuse, my own personal views on swimming pools, and what I've experienced in here about cameras not failing when, emergency situations, I would be very reticent in agreeing to it.
Thank you. Is there any further debate before I go to close? Councillor Hatton, then.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I will support this tonight because obviously the safety is the priority. I don't think the money's a problem to me at all. It is the privacy. I'll hit it straight. It says here that there's blurred visions, but the visions are blurred. If they're not blurred, then what are they? They're clear pictures. Is that correct?
The CCTV cameras take a clear image.
Correct. Yes.
But it's a blurred image that's given to the
Okay.
AI.
So the CCT cameras can be observed by the pool manager or facilitator.
Yes.
And this is the concern I have with privacy. I will support it, but I am still concerned. And yes, there are phones and cameras used at the pool because I'm there every year for a block of time, and I use the phone myself to take photos of the students who are doing their activities, and I see a lot of parents doing that too. But we're talking about underwater, essentially, aren't we? It's totally different. Yeah, look, I have the protocols, the capturing with the legislation and so forth on privacy, all those things are there. But as I said before, how do we know we're going to actually keep that code of conduct really, really tight? There will be audits. Can I ask what an audit means, please, Mr. Mayor?
Thanks. And I might just get some clarification on all those and wrap it up with Ms. Sanchez Blanco, if you'd like to. Ms. Sanchez Blanco, you can't refuse the mayor.
I would never, through the chair. Look, from the technical point of view, there's no concern from us on data privacy. So it is blurred. So the CCTV captures the image, and when it sends to Linsight, it's already blurred. Linsight are in the business of behavioral analysis, not in identification of people. That's not what they're doing. There's no identifiable information processed by the system, Linsight.
Thank you. Councillor Hatton?
Yes, through the chair. It says here that the footage data undergoes a process of image blurring, but it actually is not blurred till someone sees it, correct? It comes out clear,
yes,
and then it's blurred by the facilitator.
But not by a third party.
No,
by the city.
the city facilitator at the time, the manager.
Yes.
So it isn't blurred when it comes there. So it can be viewed as an image that can be seen, correct or not?
Yes, yes, and I think it's clear in the report.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Now, could I just ask that question again of what an audit means? An audit.
Sure. Mr. Mallett? Mr. Hutton?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. In terms of an audit, that the process that the Linsight company goes through, they store their data within Germany, which has the highest data privacy laws in the world. They're audited by an external company every month that ensures that they're compliant to the GDPR, which is higher than a standard that we have in Australia.
Councillor?
So I'm probably going to ask the obvious, and that is the audit is about the legislative requirement of privacy. Is that correct? Is that part of the audit?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Perkoff?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Part of my question was answered by the officer, but just for the benefit of those who weren't at the presentation or the meeting, and for the benefit of the viewers and so on, can I get some detail from our officers through you, Mr. Mayor, because it is a significant amount of money. How many companies or how many councils or how many businesses around Australia have uptaken this technology with this company? Indeed, perhaps worldwide. Have we had a chance to actually view this other than on a video somewhere on YouTube? And these servers they're probably cloud-based. There, you said they're in Germany. I'm always a little bit concerned about servers which are not in this country. I understand that the protocols are quite strict. Can I just get a little bit more detail that we can all sort of absorb about how we come to choose this technology, whether there was any other technologies, and also is there any ongoing costs
Yes, there
with
is.
this?
The ongoing cost is in the report. It's 48,000 a year per site, but I'll get Mr Hutton to provide information.
Through you, Mr Mayor. In terms of where this technology is placed, so Linksight's a company that's been active since 2019. They've been within Australia since about the last 18 months. They were first installed by the Bluefit Group, which is one of the private leisure management operations on the East Coast. They currently have it in 11 of their pools, and they have a plan to roll it into every single one of their pools within Australia. In Perth, that includes Belmont. They've recently just put it in South Australia. In terms of council pools, Maribyrnong Council has installed it about 4 or 5 months ago, and I forget the name of the last council over East Coast, but they are considering it. Wanneroo Council is also considering it here in Perth. Other companies that were investigated before coming to this Link site as the preferred solution, we did look at Angel Eye, we did look at Poseidon. Poseidon is installed in one leisure centre within Australia, Blacktown Council, in 2007. Both of those companies have above ground and in water cameras. Linksight does not have any in water cameras. It uses standard CCTV cameras, and of which they, because of the in water cameras, they have a much higher installation cost. And there's a variety of other factors there as well. In terms of the data security, I'll just pass over to Miriam.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Okay, so when it comes to data security, first of all, I have to say we run a third-party risk assessment of any new technology that we might want to adopt. So we do all our TCCs when it comes to cybersecurity and data privacy. We hold that in absolute regard. Linksight has got a really high score, so that's 800 points out of 1,000. So that gives us a lot of confidence on their cybersecurity posture. And again, they're not in the business of impeding data privacy. So there is just behavioral analysis. There's no personable, identifiable data, right, or sensitive data whatsoever. Now, the data is stored in an on-prem server that we host on-prem in the Aquatic Centre, and then is linked through what we call an encrypted VPN to the cloud system. Now, that cloud system, it's hosted in Germany. Germany has to abide to the highest European laws on data, which is way surpasses any Australian data protection law. So in that regard, it gives us a lot of confidence. Through the clauses and contracts, no data is shared shared with any other provider, and the data retention policy as a standard is 5 days, but we can ask for that data retention policy to be minimized to 1 day. And they don't, They do not store or save any private information or sensitive information. It's just pixels.
Just one
Councillor
quick
Perkins.
one. That was good. Thank you very much, officers.
Before you go on, I just want to give a round of applause to the officers then. They didn't look down. They knew every bit of that information without looking at a note.
Did
that
good.
was brilliant.
Good. As far as humans go, how many of our officers, staff over time, or different staff would be permitted to see this footage for whatever the reason may be?
Mr Mellett? Mr Hutton?
Through you, Mr Mayor. As per the report, in terms of on-site staff, the security systems officer and the other security officer are not on-site. The Inglewood manager, which is myself, may be on-site to view the footage. However, no other staff members would have access at any time. They only have access to a dashboard which says the amount of people in the pool and represents people as simple dots on a 50-metre lap pool.
Happy? If that closes debate, I will go to the Deputy Mayor Councillor Papard.
Just a quick question. Would the police at any stage be able to ask for footage from these cameras? Is that possible?
I would say yes, and I would also say it could well be used in any coronial. Yep. But Mr Quirk?
All right, thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor. So as council will be aware, we do have a close partnership with WA Police to provide them with direct access to our CCTV network and systems. That's on a site-by-site basis. So we have no intention of providing complete and unrestrained access to Waypol. Having said that, as part of a coronial inquest, they can get any footage they like, whether it be through subpoena or through a court order. So ultimately, WA Police could get this footage if they wanted to.
Councillor, I'll go to Deputy Mayor to close.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So just to summarise, we actually do currently have CCTV at all of our leisure facilities. Not below the water, it's above the water. We already have it. This is nothing new to these facilities. Aside from the fact that almost every patron who enters these facilities has their own way of recording whatever they may choose, should they be so inclined. Though we obviously do have systems in place to protect those people who attend those venues. So my question to you is, in this instance, we are being asked to support one location, just one location, which will be, when it's complete, the largest body of water that we have in the city of Stirling. The largest body of water, besides the ocean, I'm talking about in a leisure centre. So my question to you is, how much is a life worth? How much is a life worth? Think about it. We've had a fatality at a leisure centre before. In 2020, we had somebody pulled from the pool requiring resuscitation. Who knows how long they were there? Who knows how much damage that did, right? We've also had a toddler suffering febrile convulsions and requiring resuscitation at Inglewood Pool in March 2021. I speak to you now as a mother with the understanding that you can turn your back for 3 seconds and your child can be under the water while you are looking around. Every second counts. Every second counts. If we have a system in place, at least we are doing everything in our power to protect our residents. That is all I am suggesting here. It is not unreasonable. The final question that I have to officers is, with this system in place, would our insurance go down at all? Would it be affected, positively impacted?
I was just working out whether you can ask questions when you're closing a debate. But
Well,
I'll allow it. The simple answer is
wants
no.
to know.
It's an unknown quantity, but
Unknown
it's very
quantity.
unlikely.
Okay, it's unknown. Fair enough. Well, I tell you something. Having this as an insurance policy, get the $500,000 or $1 million out of your mind. We are talking about $220,000. We are talking about the largest body of water where we will have water polo as well. That is why it's so big, so that we can welcome additional sport. And I, for one, will sleep better at night knowing that our local pool, where there are hundreds of thousands of kids learning to swim every year and many who cannot swim, many of our immigrant friends who have joined our community were never taught how to swim. This is not a CCTV issue. We've established that. This is AI. This is AI software. It is an alarm system, nothing more. I ask you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, that's closed the debate. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Migdal, and Councillor Ferrante is seconded, and I'll put that to the vote. And I think we've got Councillor Reid to go. Thank you. And that motion is carried. For we have Councillors Crowdo, Ferrante, Giudice, Hatton, Kristovich, Migdal, Olo, Papard, Perkoff, Proud, Thornton and myself, and against Councillors Dudek, Lagan and Ree. I will now go on to item 14, which is notice of motions for consideration. 14.1, proposed notice of motion. Councillor Lagan, your motion.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will move the alternative recommendation on page 81 with just 3 comments.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Ferrante. Is there anyone opposed? There's no one opposed. Couple of quick comments if you...
Yeah, Mr Mayor, thank you for allowing me to make the 3 comments. Firstly, to the officers, thank you for the detailed report. It's good reading, and it shows the city is in the right place, doing the right thing. It backs up our urban tree canopy. It backs up our million tree program. It shows us the number of tonnes of carbon that the city is dealing with. And the 3 comments I would make with
That was
with
one.
this. It does say in the report on page 80 that we don't have a mandated target. We do have an emissions target of 70% reduction by 2030. The creation of carbon credits via tree planting alone does have limited effect, but in fact it's a good start. And just a final one, the Australian Institute in its 23 paper said the problem with carbon credits and offsets explained was that every dollar spent on offsets is a dollar that doesn't go towards something that actually reduces emissions and displaces fossil fuel usage.
Thank you for those comments, Councillor Lagan. And the motion is unopposed. Move Councillor Lagan, seconded Councillor Ferrante, so I'll put it to the vote. And that is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. 14.2, proposed notice of motion. Councillor Kristovich.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Before I move the alt-rec, I wanted to ask one question very quickly.
Is it procedural or
No,
is it
no,
a
it's
question?
an information question. Just from the point of view of, we're talking about Main Roads actually doing some consultation on this particular issue. All I wanted to note was, is the City of Stirling going to give some feedback to Main Roads when they do this review about our concerns, rather than just the community doing their concerns as well? Because obviously the alt is about noting it, but I want to make sure we're giving feedback as well as part of that process of review.
Mr Murphy?
So through you, Mr Mayor, yeah, absolutely. Main Roads will always consult us and we'll always give our
Right, on that
professional
basis, I'm
opinion
happy
on
to
that.
move the alt-rec.
Thank you. And Councillor Papard, you're happy to second that? Is there anyone opposed? If not, I'll put that one to the vote. That is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. 14.3, proposed notice of motion. Councillor Ferrante.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the motion as represented there.
Thank you. And is there a seconder for that motion? The Deputy Mayor has seconded. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Ree, a question? It's only for a report to be... Yep, your question?
Question is, within the report, is it going to say the cost and the possibility of just having a room instead of a shed, like the women got?
All things will be considered in the report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's no one opposed, so I will put that item to the vote. Thank you, and that motion is carried with councillors voting for, myself voting against. I have my reasons. All right. Item 14.4, proposed notice of motion. Councillor Ferrante, your motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Hopefully you'll support this one. I'd like to move the motion as carried. Put
Sorry,
forward.
which
Thank you.
I need to know which one, councillor. Is it the running red, the suggested alt-rec?
Absolutely not.
No.
Okay,
So just
so it's your black one? Do you want to have a look up on the screen behind?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the one in the agenda.
yeah, it's one in the agenda. Why was the alt-rec moved?
I think probably the red isn't helping. It looks like it's just been put up. So it's actually the one in the agenda, the suggested alt-rec from the agenda.
It's because it's in red, Mr Mayor. I just want to confirm that. That's the reason.
Yep. So we're happy. Yep. The Deputy Mayor has seconded that one. Is there anyone opposed? Question, Councillor Lagan?
Yeah, just to clarify, we are looking at the alt-rec on page 90.
That is correct.
Just a question through you, Mr Mayor, to officers. Obviously, I support this. Point 2 says the city submits an application for funding for the preferred treatment in the next round of submissions in the July 2024 of the national and state black spot programs. Do officers ever seek from the local member of parliament a letter supporting an application for funding? Because this one, I believe that the local MP has actually visited this site, is well aware of this site, and has been approached on numerous occasions.
I think it has been
about
done in the past and it can be done in this case, Councillor. Councillor Ree, you got a question?
Yes, thank you. I do, the local member, I think, and I think everyone's involved with Clifton Crescent for years and years. I just wondered, because it was recently, when we looked at Clifton Crescent beforehand, we looked at the broader, and other people brought in issues such as this and that. I hope when the report comes in that when that goes out to consultation, people know that we actually have taken action on some, and this is another bit to make it, because otherwise people will get confused because all they see is Clifton Crescent and they just see that we're not doing anything, but we actually have.
I would argue it's the opposite, Councillor Ree. I think it's really important, if this is a motion, that we consult on this to make it very clear that it's a black spot program and that we're only consulting on these, so we don't confuse it with the whole precinct.
But that's my point, that we've brought up Clifton Crescent before. What I'm saying is that we don't confuse people so that they know what we're talking about.
Sure, and I'll certainly take that on board. If there's no one opposed to this, then I will put this one to the vote. Thank you, that is unanimous. 14.5, proposed notice of motion. Councillor Proud.
Thank you. I have an alt-rec. That a report be presented to Council in April 24 to advise of the feasibility of preparing a design for a local connector road that minimises tree loss through the Stevenson Highway Road Reserve between Pearson Street and Empire Avenue, Churchlands, to enable consultation with residents and stakeholders.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Ree, happy to second that. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Councillor Ree, a question?
Just that when this was raised as part of the Stirling City Centre project, where consultation and the report does actually make reference to minimising the amount of trees and the location. And it's not that long ago when we looked at it that that they were going to make it more to the southwest, but I can't recall. Anyway, they were going to not change the alignment a bit of Stevenson, where we were going to do the feasibility to ensure there was less trees, but there is research done on it.
Yeah, and the motion's very clear about that. The interesting thing here is there are no plans for a road through there, which is why this motion has now come before council, obviously. So we'll put...
With one of the proposals of the Stirling City Centre project, when we looked at it, especially when it was raised recently, when Pearson Street was closed to a lot of people, the whole area was actually, people were suggesting all sorts of things. So it was one of the suggestions that come up. So maybe we need to look at the reports.
No, very clear that there's a Stevenson Highway Road Reserve there, but this is very clear that there is no feasibility of preparing a design currently, and that's what this is for, as you've just seconded. I just want to make it clear, this isn't replacing some previous study or road design that currently exists. It doesn't.
Mr Mayor, when I raised the issue about having the roundabout on the corner of Birchwood to make up for what was going on...
Councillor Reid, this isn't open for debate, and I'm just saying...
This is one of the issues that was raised, and you were taking it up with the local member, if I recall.
Mr Rodich, is there a current plan for a road through the Stevenson Avenue?
Mr Mayor, no.
Thank you. I'll now put that motion. Move Councillor Proud, second to Councillor Ree. And that is unanimous. Thank you, councillors. 14.6, proposed notice of motion. Councillor Olo.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've got an alternative rec.
Thank you.
Thank you. That a report be presented to council on implementing a trial closure of the left lane from Tyler Street into Cape Street, and that the report considers A, the upgrade of road 22105, Boom Lane, Hector Street to Cape Street, B, an overall traffic management plan that has regard to Servite College master plan, and C, the Hector Street safe active street project. And do you want me to read the reason?
It's clear why you've put those other ones in, and that'll be seconded by Councillor Thornton with a question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and through you, I would just like to know if a part of this report is going to include consultation. I think that's a really central point. The reason being is this is a public road we are considering closing. This isn't a grid system in the area. So we're essentially creating a
Thank you.
cul-de-sac.
So this is just for a report to come on how to do it all. So the report will talk about all that. So this,
Okay.
so we certainly wouldn't go and do all that before this report. So this is, it's not to do any of this, it's for a report to come on how it would proceed. And that we would envisage that would give an update on where those other projects are at and what has occurred, and then what consultation would need to occur for all that. Yeah. So that is moved and seconded. No one opposed, so I'll put that to the vote. Thanks, councillors. That is unanimous. Well done. Councillors, do you have any notice of motion for consideration at the next meeting? Councillor Perikov.
Oh, there it is. Thank you,
Oh,
Mr.
they
Mayor.
put it in big writing for you, councillor, too. So you're
I
going to read
didn't
it.
ask for fonts this big. Mr Mayor, can I first of all commend our Manager of Engineering Services who is on leave and managed to help out with this today. So that's just this for the good people of Lake Gwelup, that the city conducts an investigation of potential road safety options to address the issues of concern at the intersection of North Beach Road and Arundel Road, Gwelup.
That's what we
Lots
need.
of reasons below.
Thank you. That's the traffic lights, yeah?
That's the traffic lights, yes.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, you had a motion?
I did indeed, Mr Mayor, and it's on the board right now. Let me start again. My notice of motion for consideration at the next council meeting is that the city extends an invitation to Ishar to host them next year at the International Women's Day breakfast, providing an opportunity for them to use all funds from the breakfast to assist the community they serve, our community that they serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other noms for presentation this evening? If not, we'll continue on. And 16, we'll go to questions by members of which due notice has been given. There are some in the agenda. That's 16.1 by Councillor Ree.
Mr Mayor, is it possible, because it's taken over a year to get this report, is it possible to get a reason why the variables, because of how much they've actually gone up? When you consider last election, this one, we had less candidates and everything else, but the increase, and it seemed to have jumped a lot. And also, where it says down here about the Electoral Commission does not keep records of election costs incurred directly by local governments.
So
Is
we can.
this just, but we pay them, so is this, what I'm saying is this the cost we're paying the Electoral Commission, or is this the cost of our staff, or is this the cost of what? Can we get a breakdown of what that is, please? Because it's a bit confusing.
Sure, Mr Morby, if you can just give a quick clarification, and then we can obviously take it offline and provide any other clarifications.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Thanks for the questions, Councillor Ree. These costs are just related to what the city has paid the WAEC. It does not include the other costs incurred by the city relating to the election, but we are happy to follow up with the WAEC. I do note in the answer that they have provided, one of the reasons why the cost has increased is because due to the number of packages that have been sent out. That number has increased since 2013.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Well, if this is only the cost that we're paying the Electoral Commission, then we should be able to, which I thought when I looked at the budget papers, and I'm wrong, probably wrong, but on the budget papers it included a cost for staff and a cost for the Electoral Commission, that they were separate. So I would have thought that we'd actually have these in there. So could we have that as well, please?
Yep.
And the other question is regard to the City of Stirling complaints received by the Electoral Commission, total complaints for the ordinary election. So the City of Stirling complaints received by the Electoral Commission, for example, was 20 last year. Total complaints for the ordinary election were 414. Is that...
All of the elections?
That's not just the City of Stirling?
No, the first column is the City of Stirling.
Okay, so the complaints received by the Electoral Commission were only 20, but the complaints to the City of Stirling are...
Mr Morby?
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you for the question, Councillor Ree. It is my understanding that those figures relate to the complaints for the City of Stirling elections only.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't the city, it was, so the total complaints of the ordinary election were 414 complaints were raised to the City of Stirling about the last
I think,
election.
councillor, let's take this offline. I think we're getting confused. I don't think it is. I think they're actually for all the local governments.
Well,
So-
that's why people sort of asked me, and I thought, it's taken this long to get here, and it's very a confusing report. If we could have that amended in the minutes, please, so that we don't get more questions. So
Sure,
that-
happy to provide a bit more detail so it's very clear. I think
Yes.
I think it is clear when you read it above, but when you look at the table itself.
No.
There's no new business of an urgent nature and there's no matters behind closed doors. So that does bring us to item 19 and I declare the meeting closed at 7:40 p.m. and bid those viewers at home good night. Thank you for watching and good night to the members in the gallery.